Yesterday I was walking around and discovered that there are quite a lot of Scientologists or people who flirted with it. I found out that partly Tom Cruise brought Brad Pitt into Scientology for a while, but then he left. The main actress, who is a servant in the story, The Handmaid's Tale, she is an open and hardcore Scientologist. Forrest Whitaker was also a Scientologist for a while. You may know him from Rogue One or Battlefield Earth. I found quite a considerable number of actors who you might think are special. They always look a bit strange and have a unique acting style, like Forrest Whitaker. But of course, that doesn't mean anything bad. It's logical. In the 90s, they had Cruise join Scientology in '86, so of course they were trying to get the other celebrities in there too. The actor Christopher Reeve, who played Superman for instance. I'll find out more about it, but there are a large number of people who are connected to it. Most of them leave at some point because you have to be really hardcore, and most of them discovered they didn't want anything to do with it anymore. But it's interesting how the stories always turn out. When asked about it, most people say they once went to a meeting there. For example, Nicolas Cage and Jim Carrey were there. Jim Carrey wasn't a Scientologist, but he was certainly lured into it. A few years ago, when his girlfriend died by suicide, she was a member of the Sea Org. She was completely brainwashed by them, and ultimately Scientology played a role in her suicide, largely because she tried to leave, but it mentally destroyed her. Maybe she started taking some pills and so on, so of course things went wrong. It's very common for people to struggle when trying to leave the Sea Org. Getting out is not easy. It can actually end up almost worse. Well, I would be very interested in what you think about this. Are there any connections you can make? I will definitely examine the Dangerous album today. There will be different ideas, but if my hypothesis is correct, he only started flirting with Scientology after the first cases started to emerge at a legal level. He suddenly realized that Michael, back in the 90s, realized that now it could become a mess, and he began to regret his tendencies to some extent, probably not much, because then he did it for the next 20 years like those abused boys. He definitely had sex with maybe definitely dozens of young boys in his lifetime. And the young boys, I mean, are under 12 or 13. You should definitely watch Leaving Neverland, but there are also a lot of these people, and it's not strange at all when you look at the photos. He was seen with these children, who he seemed to have dealings with. He brought them everywhere with him, walked and hugged them as if he treated them as his own child or romantic partner. He slept with them in bed, talked with them on the phone at night, and so on. So it's probably understandable that he needed some auditing. And we see once more that when a person is desperate, he reaches for such extreme solutions. Of course, that doesn't mean Scientology turned him into a pedophile. No, he already was a pedophile, but he attempted to control it with Scientology techniques. And I would say that even if he was clear, he stopped harassing others since they kept giving him auditions, and he knew they would find out immediately if he had messed up with a young boy again. So for homosexual pedophiles, it could potentially be a solution. This is how I'm ending it. I was wondering, what are your thoughts on this? Will there be any objections here that Jackson wasn't a pedophile? I think that it's pointless to deny it because there really are an awful lot of testimonies.